Welcome to my channel and welcome to my website. My name is Daryl and this is Programming in Any Language. The website is www.black-duck.com. It's where you'll find all my videos organized in logical order. You can begin with the basics and then move on to advanced concepts. You can also start with a speed track and build an application from scratch, which should pique your curiosity with a desire to learn more. Well, it's time to enter track information. This is pretty straightforward, but it does require us to make sure that the data we're receiving is good data. Yeah, validation time. We validate the information. As you can see behind me, we are coding the left column of our data entry hierarchy chart. Once we've entered the track information and have all the data safely stored in a series of variables, we can program our save button. Now the save button won't actually save the track info, at least the disk. Instead, it will disable the track data entry portion of the screen and enable the driver portion of the screen, allowing us to enter driver information. So it moves from one group box to the next. Let's take a look at how this is done. The only thing I can do in here is actually key information here. Nothing's got, in fact, let's go ahead and do this. We can actually type in something here, Bahrain, whatever, I can't even spell it right. We can type in the miles, 2.32, 4.35, whatever, number of laps, 52, and we're just sitting there. Now we're setting a save button. They move nicely this way. The save button is what's going to actually, when I click on this, that's what's going to actually put this stuff in memory and turn everything else on. So this is the guy we're going to program next to make all this happen. So what do we have to do here? Let's take a look at it and see what it might be. Well, for starters, we're going to do a few things to this thing. So let's go ahead and end this piece, and let's look at our design. And we've got this thing named, right? Double check that to make sure. I don't want to be able to do something with something I've button save track. It is sitting in there, save track. So let's go ahead and double click on this and create our event. Once we create our event, what we need to do is we need to bring in our data. So I'm going to say, the first thing I'm going to do is take a look and say, if txt track name dot text is not equal to spaces, I want to move forward. So what does that mean I'm going to do? I'm going to create a brace here. I want to do something good here. If something goes wrong, then I'm going to say else and put a set of braces in here. Oops, they already went in there. Okay, we've got it in place. We've got our else sitting right down in here. What's that else going to say? That's the first thing we want to program. And that's going to be message box or something else dot show, please enter a track name, and then put a semicolon on that thing, clear it, txt track name dot text is equal to null. Make sure whatever, if there's some garbage in there or something like that, we can just blow that away, and we're going to see txt track name dot focus and put the user in that spot. So now we can go back up here and have good data. And so what we're looking at next is basically we can take this data here and we can say our str track name dot text is going to be equal to txt track name dot text. And whoops, let's fix this a bit. Bang, 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 bang. Dot text. There we go. Okay. There's an issue here. And what is that issue? Well, the issue is that txt track name.text is just fine, but we don't have anything set up for our variables here. So we need to go up and start setting up a variable area. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the very, very top of my program. And I'm going to make all these things global variables. We haven't played with methods yet, so I'm not going to use methods and stick them in private into the routines that we're actually using them. I'm going to put them all in the global area so that every routine can see them. For now, because of what we know in this language so far, this makes perfect sense to us. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go into my area, which is my form, right under here, and this is going to be my variable area. So I'm going to say, well, I'll give this a name. I'm going to say track information. Track information, so we know what that is. And the first thing I'm going to put is a string called str track name. And then just kind of put a comment on here and say name of track. There's a few other things. As long as I'm up here, I'm going to be saving a double called dbl track length k. Oops, semicolon. This will be the length of track in kilometers. dBl track length m, and just leave it at that and say length of track in miles. And anything else I need? I might be using it in a string because I'm going to need to display it later. So I'm going to say string str track length k. Oops, track ACK LENGTH and this string version of kilometers. String str track length m, string version of m. I'm going to need the number of laps, so int. It's going to be an integer for the int number of LAPS, and this will be the number of laps in race. Do we need a numerical version of that thing or a string version of that? Probably so, string, because we're going to be displaying it later on the other string. If you don't put these in now, it's not a problem. I'm just happen to be thinking that I'll probably want this on my display screen, and I want it in a variable that I can use. So my track is going to be number of LAPS, and then we can basically say string version. This is why I like to put my variables on each individual line, because I can comment on them rather than having them all on one line and just having them out there. We're going to need the race length. We'll need that for our math. So we're going to say double, and that would be dBl race length k, and this would be the race / race length in kilometers. And DOUBLE dBl race LENGTH m. I can say I got a misspelling already. / race length in miles. I have problems with the length of the TH thing. Fingers sometimes do something they're not supposed to do, so that fixes that thing. But TH is all up here. It is. So now we got those variables putting in there. We're probably going to have some driver information later. We'll worry about that in a second, but I'll make a spot for it. I'll say driver information, because I'm certainly want to store my variables there and make use of that. So we'll just put that down. Now we're going to go down to that button we were doing, the save button before, and finish up on this thing. Well, this is looking string track name. Did I set up a track name? I don't need this. I don't need the text down here because we're talking about a variable coming in place. So I need to just go like this and say the string track name is equal to txt track name, txt track name.text. And we're good. Since my if statement is sitting here, and good things are happening to right here. If it's not good, we're going to get out right away if the track information has put in. Once if the track information is good, we can go ahead and do another if here and say if, and we'll say double try parse our txt k length dot text and out dbl track length k. And then set up our brackets. So our dbl track length k. Do I got a misspelling up here? Let's go back to our variables. dbl track length k. It's right up here. Okay, it's right there. So it is. This is what I want to call it. Let's look at a dbl. dbl. Yep, it is that. And we look down here. It's dbl track length k. That's true. Okay. Something good is going to happen. But if it's not that right, we want to be able to say else and put in our brackets. And so we have a problem with this thing. Well, track length k. We're going to want to say message box dot show invalid k length. And we're going to want to say text k length dot text is equal to quote quote and txt k length dot focus is where we want to go. That's where we want to send our user if something goes wrong there. Great. That's in good shape. But if this is correct, if we actually do have the proper thing, and then we want to check our miles. So we'll say another if in this thing, and if double dot try parse txt m length dot text out. It's finding double m length m. No, it should be track length m. And then we'd be able to do our braces here. And if it's good, we want to do this. If it's not good, we want to do an else. Pop that in here and say message box. In fact, we can kind of do the same thing here. We can kind of, well, let's just do it. Message box dot show invalid m length. txt m length dot text is equal to quote quote txt m length dot focus, and we're good there. So that puts that in place. Now, next thing we need to do is get the number of laps coming in here. So we'll do that. We'll say if int dot try parse text number of laps dot text out not double number of laps, it's an integer number of laps. I need to pull my toolbox out here so we can see our code a little better. So it should be double number of laps period. Don't need the k there. Backspace on this, double number of laps, and put our braces in here, and we're good to go. It looks like it's happy with that. It likes what it's seeing there. if that happens, if we have a good track length, we can do something. Otherwise, if we're going to have another else showing us the error, you actually code a lot of data when you're coding for data verification to make sure it's coming through right. Message box dot show invalid number of laps. Semicolon txt number of laps dot text is equal to quote quote and txt number of laps dot focus, and that's it. So now we've got our all of our error checking. Now we can actually say we have good data. So what we want to do here is we want to be able to save the track length and laps as a string. We want to calculate race length and we want to be able to disable track info and enable driver info. And clear fields. So these would actually create methods if we're doing this thing, but we're not doing methods, so we're actually putting, so I'm just using them as comments right now, but we could actually have methods that would actually do this, and you'll see that down the road as we learn more. So we're going to save this, we're going to save all the information, so we have good data here. Our str track length k is equal to dbl track length k toString. Put that in place. Str track length m is equal to dbl track length m toString, and str number of laps is going to be equal to our dbl number of laps toString. So we're bringing those pieces in right away since we got them in the variables. That actually that allows these doubles we brought in to go into the string values. So now we have values in there. We can then use them to print out without dealing with all the other stuff we have to deal with. So let's go ahead and that's been done. So now we can go ahead and calculate our race. Our race is done by saying dbl race length k is equal to dbl track length k times int number of laps. Times int number of laps. And dbl race length m is equal to dbl track length m times int number of laps. Very straightforward, no problem there. Now what do we want to do? We want to be able to turn this stuff off so we can't get at it anymore, and turn this stuff on so we can start entering our driver information. So let's go ahead and do that. Go back to our code here, and comes in right after I disable here, and we'll say that we want to say our GRP group track enabled is equal to false. That turns the track off. Then we'll say GRP driver enabled is equal to true. We then want to set up, we want to clear all the fields, so the text driver txt, txt is equal to quote quote a txt hours dot text is equal to txt minutes dot text is equal to quote quote, and txt seconds dot text is equal to quote quote, and txt driver dot focus, placing the user there. And that's pretty much it that we have to program for our save button on this thing. Let's do a file save on this. File save. Do a quick test. See how this looks. There's our screen. Put our data entry on. Looks good. I can say Bahrain. I can put in some miles, 4.5, 3.2. I know that's not right, but number last 53. Hit save, and what it does, it allows me to do all this kind of stuff. This is active. I probably want to turn on the delete selected driver. I probably want to do it after I do this information. I have to think about how I'm going to do this. I could do it with the add. Once I do an add, it can be turned on as well. And set it up. So that's what I could do at that point in time. In fact, we don't need this until we actually entered some data in here. So I think that's what we'll do. We'll key on this thing next and make that look good. Well, it's a lot of verification coding. And we could have done more if we wanted to limit the number of laps to a range. Same with the miles. Right now, I usually could enter 100,000 laps. Same with the track info. But for this program, we'll just worry about the user entering numeric data. Well, once all this is done, we are passed on to the driver information portion of the screen. We'll look at that next. See you next time. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to use the website for easy access to all my videos. And if you get a chance, please subscribe. That way you will be notified when something new is available. We'll see you in the next video. Take care.